Right, so today we're going to be looking at Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which, as we all know, is not actually the final chapter.
Not even close.
But we're going to be diving into, some of the more interesting details of the film and all the stuff that makes it such a classic.
Absolutely.
So this one picks up right after part 3.
Yeah, it picks up right where part 3 lurched off.
With Jason.
With the paramedics wheeling Jason's body away from the barn.
Supposedly dead.
You would think that that's it.
Right.
That's the end.
The final chapter.
The final chapter, but obviously not.
He doesn't stay dead for very long.
No, he does not.
He makes a pretty quick comeback.
Yeah, he sure does.
Double murder at the morgue.
Yeah.
The poor medical examiner.
And the nurse.
Yeah. That's a pretty brutal scene.
That's a good one, though. Oh, yeah. Very effective.
So, now we have Jason back.
Yeah.
So who are the unlucky folks that are going to be, facing off against him?
So we've got our core group of teenagers renting a house on Crystal Lake.
Okay.
We've got Paul. He's kind of the responsible one.
Right.
You've got Samantha, who is a little more free-spirited.
Okay.
Sarah's kind of the quiet one. Doug is the jock.
Yeah.
Ted is the prankster.
Oh, okay.
And then you got Jimmy, who is sort of the sweet but clueless one.
I like that.
Yeah, so pretty classic horror movie archetypes.
Yeah.
But then we get some additions in this film that are a little bit more interesting.
Yep.
We meet Trish and Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah, I like them.
They are the siblings living next door to the rental house.
Yeah, and Tommy's got a very interesting hobby.
Yeah, Tommy's obsessed with horror movies, video games.
Yes.
And he makes these really detailed monster masks.
I feel like that's a little bit of foreshadowing.
I think so, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've also got Rob.
Yes.
Who is a mysterious hiker with a vendetta against Jason. So that adds a whole other layer to the plot.
Yes, it does.
And then we have twin sisters, Tina and Terry, who also join the party at the cabin.
Okay.
So quite a few people for Jason to terrorize this time around.
So it seems like they're setting it up as, you got your standard group of teenagers.
Right.
But then they're adding in these other elements.
Exactly.
With the siblings and then the mysterious hiker.
Yeah. And it really works.
Yeah.
I think it adds a lot to the movie.
I think so, too.
So things start off like a pretty typical Friday the 13th movie,
Okay.
Teenage drama, budding romances, palpable sense of dread hanging in the air.
But Jason's got to get down to business.
Oh, yeah, and he does.
He does.
One of the first kills is one of the more memorable ones, I think.
The hitchhiker.
The hitchhiker with the banana.
Yeah.
That's a great scene.
Yeah.
Shows the film's dark humor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brutal and unexpected.
It is brutal.
And it makes you think twice about eating fruit while you're hitchhiking.
Yeah. If you're anywhere near Crystal Lake, I think you need to think twice about what you're eating.
Yeah. Granola bars only.
Exactly.
But so while that's going on, we've got the teenagers at the cabin.
Yes.
Having their party, tensions are rising.
Right.
Jason's lurking in the shadows, just waiting for the perfect moment to strike.
And he strikes.
Oh, he strikes.
He strikes a lot.
Multiple times.
Yeah. So what are some of the standouts?
Well, I mean, we've got Samantha's death while skinny dipping.
Yeah.
You've got Paul's unfortunate encounter with a spear.
Oof.
Pretty rough.
Yeah. But for me, I think the one that really gets me is the corkscrew through the hand.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's just so quick, but it's so visceral and so unexpected.
It's effective.
It really gets you.
Definitely.
But so while Jason's, doing his thing with the teenagers,
yeah,
Trish and Tommy's story is kind of unfolding separately.
Right. It's happening concurrently.
Right.
But it's kind of its own separate thing.
And it's interesting how they bring in Tommy's mask-making hobby into that final confrontation.
Absolutely.
And that final confrontation with Trish and Tommy and Jason.
It's a good one.
It's so suspenseful.
Oh, yeah.
Like the chase through the two houses.
Through the two houses, yeah.
Tommy's distractions.
Very clever.
Trish's near victories.
Almost had him.
And then that unmasking.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Such a classic moment.
And then Tommy's just brutal final act.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rough. It's disturbing.
It is.
But you know what? It speaks to the trauma that they went through.
It does.
And it really leaves you wondering, is this actually the end of Jason?
Right. Is this really the final chapter?
The final chapter.
We all know it's not, but...
But they're trying to make us think that it is.
They are. Well, we know he comes back.
Many, many times.
But they really tried to sell it with this one.
They did, yeah.
This is the final chapter.
Yeah.
But I think this film is really interesting how you know, it's part of this franchise,
Right.
but it really stands on its own.
It does.
Yeah. Like, it's not just about the blood and the gore.
Right.
There's actual depth to the characters.
Yes.
And the story.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the actors.
Okay.
I mean, Kimberly Beck is Trish.
She's great.
She's fantastic.
She's so good.
She's strong, she's vulnerable, and she really sells the terror
Yeah, she's believable.
of being hunted by Jason.
She really is.
And then Corey Feldman as Tommy Jarvis.
Oh, my God.
I mean, he was only 12 at the time.
Yeah.
And he is incredible.
Yeah, correct.
Just such a talented young actor.
He really captures that vulnerability
Mm-hmm.
and the, you know, kind of growing darkness within Tommy.
Yeah, that's a tough thing to do.
Especially at that age.
To portray that kind of complexity.
Yeah, you can see the wheels turning in his head
Yeah.
as he's trying to figure out what to do.
Like how to outsmart Jason.
Yeah.
It's really cool to watch.
And that final scene when he snaps.
Oh, yeah.
Chilling and heartbreaking.
So good.
We can't forget Ted White as Jason.
Oh, yes.
I mean, he's fantastic.
So good. He brings a real physicality.
Yeah. He was a stuntman.
Yeah.
So he really brought that experience to the role.
You can tell.
The way he moves is so unsettling.
He's lumbering. He's relentless.
Yeah.
And he's terrifying.
Absolutely. And that unmasking scene.
Oh, so.
Seeing his face for the first time.
Yes.
It's such a pivotal moment in the series.
It is, yeah.
You know, it adds a layer of tragedy to his character, like reminding you that he was once human.
Right.
Like a victim himself.
It's like you're seeing behind the mask.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Like, it's really effective.
Makes him more monstrous somehow.
Right? It humanizes him.
Yeah.
But it also makes him more monstrous.
It does. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's great.
And the film's just packed with these suspenseful moments.
Yeah.
Joseph Zito, the director.
He did a great job.
He did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Creating this atmosphere of dread.
Yeah. And you know what? He was actually new to horror.
Really?
At the time.
Wow.
But you wouldn't know it from this film.
You wouldn't know it at all.
He really understands how to use, like, lighting.
Yeah.
And sound design and camera angles to just build the tension and keep you on the edge of your seat.
That scene with Trish running through the two houses.
Oh, my God.
So claustrophobic.
So good.
And intense.
You can practically feel Jason's breath on your neck.
Oh, for sure. And the music.
The music.
Harry Manfredini.
So iconic.
The screeching violins.
The heavy breathing.
Yeah.
The ki ma ma ma.
Chills.
So good.
So, you know, we've talked about the kills. We've talked about the characters.
Yeah.
The suspense. You know, Zito's vision. The music.
Yeah.
Where does the final chapter stand in the, you know, the pantheon of horror films?
Well, obviously it's not the final chapter.
Right.
But in terms of its place in the franchise,
yeah,
it's definitely a standout.
It is. I mean, it's brutal. It's suspenseful.
Yeah.
It's well made.
Yeah.
And it has some really memorable moments.
For sure. And, you know, beyond just the surface level thrills,
Right.
There's that deeper exploration of, you know, trauma and revenge.
Yeah.
And the darkness that can fester within us.
Absolutely.
So what's the final verdict?
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
What are we giving Friday the 13th, the final chapter?
I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay.
4 out of 5 stars.
Solid.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
It's not perfect.
No.
But it's a damn good horror movie.
A 4. Yeah, it's a solid entry in the franchise.
Yeah.
It is.
But, you know, speaking of the franchise.
Yeah.
You got to talk about that ending.
That
final shot of Tommy.
In the hospital.
In the hospital.
Staring intensely.
With that look in his eyes.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
I mean, it's such a brilliant ending.
It is.
It really changes the tone of the whole movie in like 2 seconds. Yeah. Like up until that point, it's, you know, you're pretty standard slasher.
Right.
You know, good guys, bad guys.
Yeah.
But then you get that image of Tommy.
And it's like.
It suggests that something much darker is going on, like beneath the surface.
Like the trauma of what he went through.
Yeah, the trauma of facing Jason.
Right.
The trauma of taking a life.
Yeah.
It's like it's awakened something in him.
It's like he's becoming the monster that he just defeated.
That's what makes this movie so effective.
Yeah.
It's not just about the violence. It's about the psychological toll that violence takes.
On the survivors.
On the survivors.
Like Tommy's story is kind of a reminder that sometimes the real horror isn't the monster.
Right.
It's the monster we become.
When we face the monster.
Yeah. It's a chilling thought.
It is.
It makes you really think about, you know, everything you just watched.
what is the takeaway here?
Yeah. So anyone out there who loves slashers with a little bit of psychological depth,
Yeah.
you got to check this one out.
Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
It's a must-see.
Absolutely.
But just be prepared.
Yeah.
That ending will stay with you.
Oh, yeah.
It will get in your head.
And what's really fascinating is how this film sets up the rest of the franchise.
Right.
You know, even though it's called the final chapter,
Yeah.
they leave that door open.
Yeah, like they're almost inviting you to continue the story in your head.
Like what happens to Tommy?
Yeah, what does happen to Tommy?
Does he become the next Jason? You know, they don't answer those questions.
Right.
But they make you think about it.
Yeah.
It's really clever.
So there you have it. Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
A classic.
A film that delivers on all those slasher tropes.
All the good stuff.
But also explores those deeper themes of trauma, revenge, and, you know, the cyclical nature of violence.
Yeah.
It's thought-provoking.
It is.
It's entertaining.
Absolutely.
And it continues to resonate with audiences.
Decades later.
Decades later.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we want to hear from you. What did you think of Tommy's transformation? Was it as unsettling for you as it was for us?
Yeah.
What are your favorite kills in the movie?
So many good ones to choose from.
Oh, yeah. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this deep dive with all your horror fan friends.
Spread the word.
Until next time.
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.